Welcome to my talk Availability and Creativity, the two cornerstones of Villbrygg. We at Villbrygg create seasonal or experimental one-off brews that we base on wild plants, local produce, or other exciting ingredients with untapped potential, which we like to say. I'm Vanessa and I am co-founder and CEO of Villbrygg. I discovered my passion for food at an early age, where I've always been interested in amazing flavors, then getting into the nutrition side, and then naturally into the food system and environmental part, so it is all connected. Then I got really passionate about how we can use our resources in a smarter way, and also how we can inspire that change in people. So the most promising of those ideas I found together with my business partner and best friend, Cornelia Øyestad. And that idea is, of course, Villbrygg. Today, the company consists of Cornelia, Christina, who joined us earlier this year, and myself. We imagine a future where it's easy to make sustainable choices that are good for you and our planet. Our mission is to inspire change through offering experiences within flavor, science, and art. We founded the company around 2 years ago, and in this short time, we've managed to produce 6 editions, which are all fundamentally different in taste and even in production methods. So it started with Cornelia and myself, who've been working many years in the restaurant industry, and we've always failed to recommend the guests exciting alternatives to alcohol. We also felt this need ourselves when we, for whatever reason, didn't feel like having an alcoholic beverage, but still wanted to enjoy something flavorful and complex. The story of Villbrygg is essentially a story about availability and creativity in creating and running a business. And what initiated the funding of the company was a number of contradictions that we had observed in our society and that we were asking ourselves over and over again. And these were such as, why are alcohol-free drinks unhealthy when we stay away from alcohol to take care of our bodies and minds? Why do we destroy the soil in which we depend upon to grow our food? Why do we waste resources while nature produces no waste? Why do we insist on monocultures when biodiversity is clearly more valuable? Why do we import most of our food when we are surrounded by exciting flavors? And why do we label some plants as weeds when they are in fact nutritious foods? So we decided that this doesn't make any sense, and we want to embark on these contradictions and change the food system through a business. But in order to do that, we needed a product or service that people desired, because it doesn't really work to just tell people to do something for rational reasons. They need to desire it for it to create some lasting change. Keeping that in mind, we went on to how can we address all of this in our business model, and how can we translate our motivations into guiding principles for the way that we operate our business. Doing this is what we believe what differentiates us from our competitors. We started from a place with very few resources and not really any starting capital at all, which means that we don't have the resources to build big factories or hire a bunch of people. And that's a challenge, of course, a real constraint, but it also helps us to focus on a few things and do that good, and then outsource the rest. And it means that we need to let go of some control naturally, but it also makes us more flexible to changes And we contribute to democratizing the supply chain by also allowing several stakeholders to be involved in creating that value together with us. What really stands out is that we as a beverage company, we don't have our own production and a brewery as one of our key activities. And that is because of 3 reasons, basically. Our limited capital doesn't allow us to build and maintain a huge production facility. 2, we don't produce that much, so that we need our own facilities yet. And 3, our production methods, it also changes slightly from drink to drink, so it doesn't make sense for us to invest in highly specialized equipment. Therefore, it is more efficient for us to collaborate with breweries that has excess capacity available. And this also has some very, very valuable side effects. We help breweries to stay in business so they can use their capacity more efficiently, while we're also able to distribute from a number of different locations rather than from one mega factory. And of course, one factory less means less space wasted, less resources used to build the machinery, and so on. We can compare our business model to a traditional product development like this. This is the standardized static model of Kaku Kalu, a very traditional company. You can see that they have this standardized, never changing product line, or that's just slightly changing. And to have that all year round, they are sourcing their ingredients from a number of different suppliers all around the globe. And you see they are all having like different distance to the company. They're also like standardized companies like this are also trying to own their value chain to maximize profits. This static setup seems solid, but it makes the company as well as the producers hard to adapt to changes and highly fragile if demand changes or there are ecological shifts happening, for example. And what makes us fundamentally different to this is that we create recipes based on the diversity that's available to us here, instead of always sourcing the same handful of ingredients across the world. In opposition to the standardized model, our value chain focuses on the creative conceptualization and the collaborative part. So as we can see here, our suppliers, they always keep the same distance to the company because in our opinion, ecologically efficient use of resources, that means using what's locally available and adapting to the seasons. So we don't standardize, rather we have a portfolio of different products that are constantly changing through the whole year and with every season. So we act highly flexible to new developments and the availabilities. And therefore, we create a much higher security for producers who, for example, needs to adapt to new conditions. And this also makes it possible for us to make use of local herbs that are so far in very limited supply. And by taking advantage of all of this diversity rather than working against it, we create more resilient ecosystems throughout. Now, let's talk about creativity. We've experienced that the creativity, it really works best with limitations, because an infinite amount of possibilities doesn't really suggest a direction and it can feel paralyzing. So just embrace the limitations rather than work against them. Because when we seek to create something, we take our limitations into account and we always look for these win-win-win solutions. Eventually, we reinvent ourselves in each drink that we launch, and we keep asking these creative questions to, for example, waste, to resources, weak supply chains, or to cooperation. Take, for example, our latest brew, Hagen 02. All our drinks, they convey a feeling of nature, and this one is the feeling of the garden. And here we use the apple press leftovers from local cider production as a base for our new drink. And this way we are altering the production line before they are throwing the apples away. We use them one more time. And this enables us to brew our drink with apples, because the same amount in juice would be very expensive. And the cider producers, they get effectively more sustainable by producing less waste. We also used pineapple weed, a somewhat unwanted wild plant that people don't like on their nicely cut grass in their gardens. But it's actually a hidden treasure as it tastes like pineapple. Like, imagine that. We have wild plants in Norway that taste like pineapple. We actively source all our ingredients from farmers directly. And in order to create some more predictability in what we can get a hold of, we're also planning the seeding schedule and harvest together with local farmers. And this way we're working towards creating new supply chains. And in the spirit of collaborating with others, we recently successfully applied for funding to work together with a number of organizations to increase biodiversity. The initiative focuses on preserving the seed heritage and helping farmers to diversify their produce. And this will ultimately benefit us with a larger variety of ingredients and exciting flavors to play with. Changing the flavor and appearance with every new product, it requires us to be hyperactive in the communities and the related fields. Because even if collaborating with competitors might seem counterintuitive in the first place, we believe that in this niche market, working together will ultimately raise awareness and grow the market potential. It's, in our opinion, the purest form of finding synergies and leading the consumers in the right direction and making it possible for them to buy for impact and creating our industry together. So let's take an example from nature, because in biodiverse, healthy ecosystems, nature has the ability to renew itself, like it's diverse, resilient, healthy, and sustainable. So diversity is nature's absolute biggest strength, and we need to remember that it is ours too. Through collaborations, we pool our resources and we create something new together that would otherwise have been difficult. We've, for example, taken Sorbet Sisters out foraging, and they have created sorbets based on our drinks and the wild plants that we have foraged together. They continue to have seasonal Villbrygg sorbets as we also keep changing our drinks. Through these kind of collaborations with other brands who share the same values as us, we build stronger associations to Villbrygg and we increase brand awareness. For the launch of our last drink, Kyss 01, which translates to coast, we organized a beach cleaning together with Nordic Ocean Watch and rewarded everyone who turned up with a drink. This was a great way to spread awareness of our brand to a new following and to celebrate the product launch and to get people excited about doing something good for nature together. So creativity for us is not really limited to our products and our production, but also to the way that we operate, present ourselves, and actively collaborate. So for this year's Fashion Week, Oslo-based designer Elisabeth Støy Pedersen wanted to show her brand ESP's values through our eyes. And instead of making a standard catwalk film, we made an artistic interpretation of us and our story wearing her clothes. Ultimately, if you want to find synergies, look into the limitations that you have and be creative with them. So keeping an open mind, being hyper-flexible and adaptive to the opportunities that we are surrounded by makes it possible for us to explore and leverage on unexpected synergies. So ultimately, finding synergies is about making the most out of what we have and finding the best possible solution for everyone involved. Thank you.